welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah.
So you sent us your reading material, and we're going to dig in, pull out the key stuff, basically give you the shortcut to getting up to speed.
Right.
Today, we're looking at these excerpts talking about the updated Think and Grow Rich. Now, our mission here really is to nail down these core ideas, things like unwavering resolve, sticking it out when things get tough.
Persistence.
Exactly, persistence, and, the importance of having a really clear goal, a definite purpose, as they call it. That's what these sources are hitting on for success and, well, wealth.
And it's interesting how the book focuses on that mindset, doesn't it? The power of just believing you can build wealth.
Yeah, and that thin line between quitting and making it that 3 feet idea we'll get into, plus the strength you get from just being absolutely determined even when you're up against, say, authority figures.
It all traces back to Napoleon Hill, born 1883, right? He spent his life looking at that subtle difference between people who make it big and those who, well, don't.
Okay, so where do we start? That idea of unwavering resolve seems pretty central.
Absolutely. Let's kick off with the story of Edwin C. Barnes. I mean, this guy had a goal that sounds almost, well, crazy specific. He wanted to work with Thomas Edison, not just get a job for him.
Right, and what strikes me there is, on paper, he looked like the least likely person, didn't he? Like, he wasn't an inventor, not a businessman, didn't know Edison from Adam, shows up basically broke, and kind of insignificant looking. So you have to ask, what on earth was driving that specific aim? It seems so improbable.
Exactly. It wasn't just some, vague wish. It was crystal clear, and it sounds like it just completely consumed him. And the sources really stress his persistence. He wasn't too proud to start at the bottom, right?
Right, taking any job just to be near his goal.
Yeah, doing menial tasks, whatever it took, just proving his value bit by bit until, bam, an opportunity pops up. And this wasn't just sitting around waiting. It was like active waiting, if that makes sense.
Totally. And that big chance came with Edison's new dictating machine, which apparently nobody else really believed in.
Yeah, loads of skepticism. But Barnes, he saw something. He had that foresight, you could say, and just grabbed the chance to sell it. It really speaks to having a clear vision, I think.
It does. It's like that laser focus on his main goal acted like a filter, didn't it? Helping him spot the chances that lined up with it.
Absolutely. And the real takeaway isn't just that he eventually succeeded, but the mindset he had right from the get-go. It seems like failure just wasn't even contemplated.
Like it wasn't an option in his head.
Exactly. The text actually quotes his internal thought process as, I will succeed or perish. It's about mentally burning your bridges, no retreat.
Yeah, kind of like forcing yourself forward by eliminating the possibility of going back, almost like that commitment bias idea. Once he was all in mentally and maybe even telling people, his brain just wouldn't let him quit.
That's a great way to put it. He basically shut down any internal debate about giving up before it could even start. Okay, so contrasting that kind of intense focus, the excerpts also give us this really powerful story about, well, quitting too soon.
Ah, the gold rush story.
Yeah.
Are you Darby's uncle?
That's the one. It's such a perfect illustration of how we can misread failure, because Darby's uncle, he actually did find gold at first.
Right. He had initial success, got the equipment, started digging. Things were looking good.
Exactly. But then, poof, the vein just disappeared, and they dug around for weeks, found nothing, and finally just, decided to cut their losses and quit.
Which feels pretty understandable, right? You hit a wall, you try for a bit, nothing happens, you figure it's done. It's a common enough story.
It is. But here's the kicker, the real twist. The property gets sold off cheap to a junk dealer. And this dealer, kind of on a whim, gets an engineer to check the place out.
Uh-oh, I think I know where this is going.
Yep. The engineer finds the gold vein just 3 feet. 3 feet. From where Darby's uncle stopped digging.
Wow. 3 feet. That's incredibly close. It really hammers home how near we might be to success when we decide it's hopeless. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? How often are we just about there?
That 3 feet becomes this huge metaphor, right? For that critical moment where doubt just washes over you and you give up, even if you're so close. And Darby, he learned a massive lesson from what happened to his uncle.
And he took that lesson into a totally different field, right? Insurance. How did that gold mine near miss change how he approached selling insurance?
It basically burned into his brain the cost of giving up too soon. So when he started selling insurance, facing rejection after rejection, which, is part of that job.
Oh, yeah. Lots of no's.
Right. But he kept picturing that abandoned mind. He understood that every no could just be, well, one step closer to the yes. And that refusal to quit, fueled by that memory, is what made him a top salesman.
So that insight quoted in the text makes perfect sense then. Most great people have attained their greatest success just one step beyond their greatest failure.
Exactly. It reframes failure completely. It's not necessarily the end of the road. It might even be a sign you're getting really close to the breakthrough.
That's a powerful shift in perspective. Now, the excerpts also take this idea of persistence beyond just making money. There's that story about the young girl, the tenant farmer's daughter. What's the angle there?
Ah, yes. This one's potent because it shows conviction winning out, even against, like, serious intimidation. You've got this young girl, probably poor, maybe not even fluent in the language, facing this angry guy. But she's got one clear mission.
Just to get 50 cents for her mother. Simple, but obviously crucial to her.
Totally crucial. And the man, he doesn't just say no. He refuses. He threatens her, even raises his hand like he might strike her. I mean, you'd completely understand if she just ran away, right? The power imbalance is huge.
Absolutely. Most people probably would have backed down.
But she doesn't. Her reaction is amazing. She just stands her ground, looks him right in the eye, and says with total certainty, my mother has to have that 50 cents. It's not about being aggressive. It's just this absolute belief. Failure isn't even on her radar.
It's like the possibility of not getting the money didn't exist in her mind. It wasn't about ambition for herself, just this fundamental need.
Precisely. And that sheer, unshakable belief, that total lack of doubt, it actually works. The guy is so taken aback by her resolve that he just gives her the money.
Oh, wow. It really speaks to the raw power of conviction.
It does, and the text links this straight to a core principle behind pretty much all big achievements: unwavering faith in the outcome you want. When you have that, it seems to just dissolve fear, hesitation, doubt. It's like the world itself kind of bends to that internal certainty.
So it's not just about pushing through obstacles, but about the internal state you maintain while doing it.
Right, and the text even gives advice for when you do hit those obstacles, because you will. It says something like, when defeat overtakes man, the first, most natural reaction is to quit. But instead, you should analyze what went wrong, look at your plans, and then just, start again towards that goal. Learn from it. Don't abandon ship.
Okay, so pulling these stories together, Barnes, the determined wannabe partner, Darby, learning from his uncle's near miss, this incredibly resolute young girl, there's a clear pattern emerging, isn't there?
Definitely.
It's not really about being the smartest or the richest or, the luckiest person in the room.
Not at all. The excerpts consistently point to the same thing. The deciding factor is often just the refusal to give up. That line between making it and failing seems to come down to that last bit of effort, that final ounce of belief, the sheer guts to keep going when everything screams stop.
It's definitely not an easy path they're describing, but it does sound like the power to cultivate that kind of determination is, well, potentially within us.
Yeah.
It's encouraging, in a way.
It is, and the sources round this off by bringing in another really vital piece: the role of imagination and having what they call a definite purpose. This shifts things from just reacting to actively creating your reality mentally first.
Ah, yeah, there's that striking line. If you do not see great riches in your imagination, you will never see them in your bank balance. That really suggests our inner world shapes the outer one, doesn't it? How does the book unpack that?
Well, it uses one final, really compelling story. It's about someone whose life just seemed to be spiraling downwards, failure after failure, losing everything, just hitting rock bottom, basically.
Okay, sounds like a tough spot. What turned it around for this person?
So they're totally broke, feeling completely desperate, and they end up in a library, and they just happen to pick up a book about success. Now, understandably, their first reaction is pure skepticism, like, yeah, right?
Given their situation, that makes sense.
Totally. But as they start reading these stories of other people who overcame maybe even bigger challenges, something starts to shift. Just a little flicker of hope begins to ignite.
And was there one specific idea that really grabbed them?
Yes. The excerpts highlight that the principle of having a definite purpose really hit home. It wasn't enough just to vaguely want things to be better. They needed a specific, clear vision of what they wanted to achieve, who they wanted to become.
So more than just get out of poverty, it was like achieve X, Y, and Z.
Exactly. And they didn't just think about it, they acted on it. They sat down and wrote out their goals in meticulous detail, made them really concrete. And then, this is key, they started reading that list every single morning, drilling it into their subconscious, you could say.
Like programming their mind. And the text mentions it wasn't like, boom, instant success, right?
No, not at all, which feels realistic. It says there weren't any big sudden changes at first. It was more gradual, internal shifts.
How did that manifest?
Well, over time, small opportunities started appearing. Or maybe, they'd always been there, but now their mind was tuned in to actually see them. Their decision-making got sharper, more focused, naturally aligning with those written goals. It's like training your brain to spot the path forward instead of just the roadblocks.
And the end result.
The story concludes years later with the realization that every single thing they had written down on that list had actually come true. And the point wasn't that it was magic or luck. It was the result of that clear intention, the focused mind, and the relentless effort that followed.
Right. It brings it back to that core message again.
Yeah.
It's less about your starting point or even your IQ, and much more about having clear goals, acting on them consistently, and just refusing to quit.
Exactly. And sometimes, as the text suggests, just that small shift in how you're thinking, that deliberate focus, can turn what feels like a hopeless situation into one filled with possibility.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive then. Based on the material you sent in, the big takeaways seem pretty clear. First, that absolute need for unwavering resolve when you're going after something.
Yep, non-negotiable belief.
Second, the critical role of persistence, sticking with it, even when, maybe especially when it feels like you're hitting a wall potentially just
3 feet away.
Right, 3 feet away. And third, that guiding power of having a really clearly defined, definite purpose, knowing exactly what you're aiming for.
Absolutely. These principles, drawn straight from your sources, really hammer home that your ability to just keep believing and keep trying, particularly when things get rough, is often the thing that makes all the difference.
Makes sense. So here's something to chew on. Think about a time you might have stopped, maybe when you were actually closer than you realized, potentially 3 feet away from getting what you wanted. How could applying these ideas, this unwavering resolve and clear vision, change how you tackle the challenges you're facing right now? Maybe more importantly, what's one definite purpose you can clearly state for yourself today? Something that can act as your compass and keep you going.